Welcome back to the second segment of episode 151 of Sold with Updike Pugh.
Yep.
What are we going to talk about today? Dun, dun, dun.
That would have been great if we would have had music like that. Dang it. 5 ways to disaster-proof your home.
Snorted, sorry.
Wow, that is such a big title, Jeff. That is.
It is. It's, I guess, it's okay. It's a little bit overdone, a little bit.
Woo!
So number one.
Let's talk about cleaning your gutters, because it's a disaster when that doesn't get cleaned.
So let me tell you the importance of cleaning your gutters.
Tell us.
So if your gutters get full and they start backing up, this can cause roof leaks. It can cause wall leaks. It can cause damage down the siding of your home. It's not just a matter of like blowing the little leaves out, but you got to get up in there and get all of the gunk out of the gutters.
And there are all sorts of contraptions you can see online where they've got like the mechanical device that is fueled by a water hose that runs across. You've seen people you need to be careful if you're using a power washer.
Mm-hmm.
That thing can ruin your shingles if you're not careful and get too close. That can also be done a good old way with hand. But now they also have a lot of times that mesh on top. Yeah. I still think that if you have the mesh, you need to double check and make sure there's not some crap in there.
Absolutely, because the little crap still can get through the mesh.
And to me, it's amazing that stuff then biodegrades and becomes the perfect growth for like a tree to grow in your gutter and cause all sorts of problems. So
I have a 1700 PSI power washer that I use to clean mine out, which is on the lower end. It's an electric power washer, so the gas powered ones are the ones with more oomph to them. But it's what I found has enough power to really clean them out well, but you don't get into damaging things around you.
I am going to actually have to get bigger gutters because my roof line doesn't pitch in different directions. It all pretty much goes in the same direction, both sides, and therefore they get inundated and it just rolls over. Dale was like, "You need bigger ones."
Yeah.
Okay, number 2. What is
Number
it?
2, and I probably should have made this number 1, but this is trim your trees. When you trim the trees, it's going to knock stuff down onto your roof. It's going to knock them into your gutters. So let's say trim the trees first, then clean the gutters.
And I will tell you this much. Patrick Dickinson was on the show last week, and this is one of Patrick's big go-tos right now. It is the season to have that trim because the bugs have gone away. And as the sap begins to pull back into the tree, go into the roots, this is a perfect time that you're not damaging and creating a hardship on the tree itself. So get out there and get this done. I will say that I just had mine done. And one of the great things about this is that the arborist was able to detect that one of the spots was rotting, and he said we need to cut down this large branch that actually went over the house, which could have been a problem if we had had like another ice capades like we did last year.
Yep.
All right.
So number 3.
French drains. And I think French drains and the gutters go together because so many times the gutters tie into the French drains. And I'm also having French drains put in my house around my garage because I have a section that really does get a lot of water. And what's currently there is not able to move the water out fast enough. And therefore, it does kind of come into the garage. Not a lot, but it needs to be stopped for it creates a real big problem later on.
And French drains were not named French drains because of the country.
Go on. Why were they called French
They
drains?
were actually because the technology or the idea or whatever was developed by a man with the last name French.
Interesting. I will also tell you that they're not terribly expensive to be installed.
They're really not. And, they're people. So surface drains also are French drains are those that you have a basin that collects water, runs through the pipe, and the pipe's usually got holes drilled in the bottom of it. It's usually in a rock base where that water leaches into the soil.
Right.
Where surface drains really carry the water from point A to point B. It's like you have the basin over here. It goes around the house in a completely intact piece of PVC and it dumps out on the curb or somewhere like that. So when most people talk about French drains, kind of the all-encompassing.
Right.
So make sure that if you are going to have these installed, that you talk about the difference of those with whomever that person is.
I will tell you the reason why we're having this done is our neighbor had theirs done, and they had a very interesting element. Rather than actually run it all the way to the curb and dump it out, there's enough topography that moves that they actually had it stop in the middle of their yard, and there is a topper that pops up and lets the water come out, and then it continues to water their grass and their trees.
Interesting.
I thought it was very interesting, so we'll see how that plays out. Number 4, install impact roof doors and windows. Jeff, why is this so important?
Primarily for tornadoes and windstorms. You know,
Gotcha.
our environment has really, our weather has really changed, and we're seeing a lot more of those really vicious storms come through. And, you know, they can pick up 2x4s and throw them through windows. They can pick up 2x4s and throw them through the side of your house
Yep.
if you're a frame home. But impact resistant, impact proof doors and windows will help you get through a tornado so much easier and a windstorm so much better than if you don't.
Absolutely.
And there's some security also in the impact proof windows and doors.
I would agree with that. So the number 5 is going to be check your fire extinguishers. This one is near and dear to my heart, as many of you know. This right here can save you many, many hours of anguish. These are easy to buy. They're easy to check. They should be in any place where you think you might have a fire. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
Stove, gas pit, fire,
Garage,
garage, laundry room. The list goes on.
Yes.
And they're so cheap that you should probably buy one and do a demo on it.
Yeah.
And just make sure that the people in your house know how to make them work, so that it's not, there's no good in having it if you don't know how to make it work.
And, you know, I think you're exactly right. You need to have these where those issues come up so they're handy. You also need to have these away from where those issues come up, because if that issue develops and it's bigger than you can stand there and handle,
True.
You need to be able to run to the front closet and know where that one is to be able to bring that back. And
Jeff, that's a great
put that-
idea.
Put that
you
out.
do need to be able to have them in multiple areas just in case, because if the fire does envelop that area and you can't get to it, then what good is it?
Yes.
Well, we hope that we didn't scare you too much. We know Halloween is just around the corner, and we wanted to hit you high and hit you low.
So thanks for joining us today. We really do appreciate it.
And just remember, we want to be your realtors for life.